Okay, well, it happened. Kristi Noem admitted to crimes on national TV. And I just got to say, Kristi Noem, I look forward to your trial in 2029. That is definitely happening. And we're also learning that there is a bipartisan investigation into Pete Hegseth's war crimes. Yes, they are war crimes. That is exactly what Mark Kelly said just earlier today on CNN.
Based on what CNN is reporting, what the Washington Post is reporting, do you believe if there was a second strike to eliminate any survivors, that constitutes a war crime?
It seems to. If that is true, if what has been reported is accurate, I've got serious concerns about anybody in that chain of command stepping over a line that they should never step over. We are not Russia. We're not Iraq. We hold ourselves to a very high standard of professionalism. And this is where I'm really troubled about this, is because I have so much respect for people in the United States Navy. I served in the Navy for 25 years, and there is no organization more professional than Navy SEALs. And they should be revered. And that's why I say I hope what I've heard about this strike is not accurate.
Well, anyone who did it, if it is true, is in deep shit. Is in deep shit. And it's on camera. I mean, it's on video. They, on September 2nd, when they did this attack and they released a video, they cut out the part where the survivors were hanging onto the boat because it looked so bad. They said that if people were to have seen it, they would have been up in arms. So it exists. It exists. This trial is going to happen. Mark my words. This is definitely happening. Let's keep going.
You mentioned that you were a captain in the Navy. If you received that order, would you have carried it out?
No. No, and I'm a guy who, I have sunk 2 ships. I've sunk an Osa-2 missile patrol boat in Kuwait Harbor, a Palnakni troop carrier in the Persian Gulf during the first Gulf War. I never, in that situation, questioned whether those strikes were legal. We were given an order to do this. It was a time of war. These were Iraqi ships with Iraqi crew members who posed a threat to the United States military, in this case, who they invaded Kuwait. We're trying to kick them out of Kuwait. This was approved by Congress, all of that, right? So, but if I was ever given an order for a second, I've had questions about the operation in general, and I've been saying this for weeks, putting service members kind of like, are you stepping over a line here? Is this legal? They have tied themselves in knots trying to explain to us on the Armed Service Committee how this is legal. Not sharing, all of the information either, which is really troubling. But going after survivors in the water, that is clearly not lawful.
And again, video footage shows they did just that. So when this is, I really do think this is going to be one of those things we're going to fight for a long time. This is like Benghazi, but actually important and could literally put people in prison. Anyone who took this illegal order. That's the thing that we've tried saying, is if you're doing this shit, Donald Trump probably isn't going to get in trouble. But you are. Now, just a bit about the bipartisan investigation. In a rare instance of bipartisan alarm, Republican-chaired committees in the House and Senate announced that they have launched inquiries into an explosive Washington Post report alleging Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had given a spoken order to kill everybody aboard a vessel carrying suspected drug traffickers in the Caribbean. The occupants included 2 people who had survived an initial missile strike on the vessel and were clinging to the wreckage. Quote, "We take seriously the reports of follow-on strikes on boats alleged to be ferrying narcotics in the South Carolina region and are taking bipartisan action to gather a full accounting of the operation in question," the leaders of the House Armed Services Committee said in a joint statement on Friday. Quote, "The committee had directed inquiries into the Department of Defense, and we will be conducting vigorous oversight to determine the facts related to these circumstances," leaders in the Senate Armed Services Committee said. And there's some background. As I said, the September 2nd attack kicked off what has now been nearly 24 attacks, killing at least 83 people who the U.S. military claims, without evidence, had been attempting to smuggle drugs into the U.S. The attacks, which President Trump justifies as part of an armed conflict with drug cartels, have been likened to extrajudicial killings. So that's just one illegal thing they're doing. That's just one. Kristi Noem is an idiot. I think the filler has gotten to her brain. Is that possible? Can it go from cheek to brain? It's filled in the crevices of her brain, because she literally admitted that the illegal things that DHS is doing are solely her decision.
Secretary Noem, let me turn to my final topic. In a filing in federal court this week, the Justice Department said that when the administration was ordered back in March to stop sending detained migrants to a mega prison in El Salvador, you personally made the final call to continue the flights anyway. Is that correct? Do you acknowledge that?
You know, we have court filings going on and decisions that are going forward. I'll let them continue to play through that process.
But did you make that
I'm
call?
proud of President Trump and his leadership and the decisions that we have made. And the decisions that are made on deportations, where flights go and when they go, are my decision at the Department of Homeland Security, and we will continue.
Ding, 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 ding. The decisions that are made on deportation, where flights go or when they go, are my decision. This is another one of those cases where that clip, it's going to be shown at your trial in 2029. I look forward to it. Let's keep going.
Continue to do the right thing and ensure that dangerous criminals are removed.
So that you're saying that it was your decision. It sounds like the judge wanted to ensure that people were given due process. He said very clearly, quote, any plane containing these folks that is going to take off or is in the air needs to be returned to the United States, but those people need to be returned to the United States. However that's accomplished, I leave to you. But this is something that you need to make sure is complied with immediately. Did you defy the court's order, Madam Secretary?
No, Kristen, and that's one of the things that we continue to face across this country is activist judges who are using radical decisions that have no standing and no grounds to try to stop what President Trump is doing to protect America and to keep us safe. So we'll continue.
I'm telling you right now, in your criminal trial, when you say it's an activist judge, it's not going to hold up very well for your defense. That is an insane thing to say, that because it's a ruling you don't like, it's an activist judge. What happened to appealing? You have to appeal. There's a process in this country. There's a legal process. If you don't like a ruling, you're more than welcome to appeal it, but you still have to follow through in the ruling or try to get a stay on the judge's order. Regardless, you didn't do any of that. You just said, nah, it's not happening. And unfortunately for you, that's going to work for about another 3 years. And then I look forward to seeing you clinked up in jail, bitch. All right. Now, she was also asked about what is really a white nationalist movement of what's called remigration.
President Trump wrote on Thursday, quote, only reverse migration can fully cure this situation. On Friday, DHS posted, quote, remigration now.
Remigration.
As you probably know, this term has been used in different situations, but including by the far right in Europe to call for the mass deportation of non-white immigrants. How specifically does the Trump administration define remigration?
Well, President Trump has been working towards cleaning up the mess that Joe Biden left us ever since he came into the White House.
But how do you define that word,
know,
Secretary Noem?
Biden
How do you define that word?
15. Well, first of all, we have criminal illegal aliens we've been targeting since day one. We have removed millions of people from this country already just in the few short months that President Trump has been president.
Okay, so she doesn't answer. Okay, good to know. I don't think she knows what that means. I mean, I do. So staffers are generally much younger than the people who lead these offices, and this is a problem for another day. But the staff and the young people in the Republican Party are much more extreme than even Kristi Noem or Donald Trump, and so she probably doesn't even know what remigration is. She was just like, oh, whatever, but that's the thing, is that this is not good. It's not good that the administration has people in power who don't even know the things that their communications are saying. Not great. Not great. Or she knows and she just doesn't want. I think she would just admit to it, honestly. I don't think she's scared. I mean, clearly she's admitting to crimes. She's admitting crimes. On national TV. Not smart, but helpful. All right, well, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please hit like. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye.